Yo, what's going on, little bros? Welcome to a deck list, deck discussion, if you will, of a popular waifu deck. Now, this is a deck I think a lot of people have seen recently, especially on the ladder, or maybe from their favorite content creator. I know particularly the Dual Logs loves this deck. I've seen him make quite a bit of them, very different variants, that is. I'm personally a big fan of it just because it's a trap deck. I love trap decks. I particularly really like trap decks that aren't just your average run-of-the-mill floodgate, yada yada yada. I know I play Guru. I'm looking at him right here, but the only real floodgate that I play is Summon Limit because I think Summon Limit is really good, and it's also not like the most obnoxious one. And I mean, you still have to play floodgates and sub tier Guru, uh, but yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of it. And when I saw that this deck was designed around normal traps and designed around removal, I was like, yeah, sign me up. Let's play it. Let's make it a variant. Let's see what I can do with that. What cards are really good? And I literally went through all of the normal traps. I wanted to check out everything, make sure I got all my bases covered because I mean, this is, something that I've really never considered before, and there's just so many normal traps in the deck and or in the game, and obvious the ones that I ended up choosing ended up being like the obvious ones that everybody chooses, but in the TCG there's a different card that I started playing way before anybody else was actually playing it. It's a TCG exclusive and it's a very strong card. It's unfortunately not a Master Duel, but I will actually be going over my TCG build, which will include Photon, the new Hyper Drive or whatever it's called, which includes the new trap, the new Big Welcome Labrynth. A very good card. So let me go ahead and get into. I'll try to be quick about this and just sort of talk about my choices, my odd choices, as opposed to what many others perhaps are doing or not doing. So first off, King Backjack. Why am I playing one as opposed to three? Well, the biggest reason I'm playing one as opposed to three is because I don't really want to draw this card. That's why you want to play a card of threes to draw it. I don't want to. I'm not playing Stovey. I'm playing one Chandelier, and Chandelier, in my opinion, is the only good one. I think Stovey kind of sucks, to be honest. It summons itself one, and you send a card off the board with your normal trap, but why would I ever want to summon it? It does nothing for me on being summoned. It literally does nothing for me. It has no attack, 2000 defense. Oh, it's link fodder. For for Dark, I don't even want to link summon. This is for flex. I don't want to send any of these cards to the grave for link summons. It doesn't make any goddamn sense unless I absolutely have to. It is just not, in my opinion, just not good enough. So we only have three cards readily that we can immediately discard for this card. And then next we have Denomiskis, which is not an immediate card. I have to wait a full turn. Yes, that's good when I do have Denomiskis and I do have Backjack, but I'm not always going to have that. So in my opinion, I think one is totally fine. The biggest reasons here is for Ghastly Glitch, an amazing card, really great, perfect. I do not need three of these. I'm not going to summon this and keep this Link Karibo here in case I need it, right? Unnecessary. I only want one. This is totally fine. Very unnecessary. Chandelier, now this is the better of the Stovey. Basically, we play this because we don't have Lady Labyrinth yet, or we don't have the Big Welcome Labyrinth. Otherwise, not a huge reason to play this card, but until then, yes, just because we have three options: Welcome Labyrinth, Field Spell, and then my particular tech choice for Welcome Labyrinth. I will get to it when we get to the traps, but yes, that's why I'm playing Chandelier. The reason I'm playing 3 Arion as opposed to playing 1 or 2 or however many I tend to see people play is because I think this card, even though I'm not going to be using it to first effect very much, the Ignition, send a trap to the grave, the special A level 4 lower Fiend in defense on your side, not super useful and can be a huge detriment if it gets negated. The reason I'm playing it instead at 03 of is because the draw one. It's simple as that. This is a deck that is geared around sending with your normal traps card your opponent's cards to the grave. Therefore, I want a card on the board that is going to be generating me advantage. And Ariana is perfect for that. Don't need it to do anything else. That's all I want. Ariana is obviously better. It gives me the inherent +1 when I summon it, but it also does the exact same thing that Ariana does. Ariana is just really good as well. Played at 3. Play the other one at 3. That is until we get Lady Labyrinth. But anyways, lovely Labyrinth. Good card. Great card even. Very replaceable later on with the new cards, but as of now, it's not. We need it. We need that little oomph to get game. 2900 attack. It's a big beater. Opponent can't use normal traps. It can't respond to your normal traps, but who cares? Doesn't Not that big a deal. That effect is actually pretty insignificant. The most important part here is that you can reset a normal trap from the grave, so that's really good. And secondly, it's really good because To pop one, random pop one in your hand or on board non-target. Woof, that is a strong effect. That effect is very, very strong. Um, very strong. Big fan of that one. You could play two. I personally only play one. I think playing two is just a bit too much. Drawing this card is like massively detrimental, so that's why I'm playing one. Pot of Extravagance, inherent plus one, right? We don't really care about our extra deck. Doesn't really matter. I don't play the Prosperity because I just feel like Prosperity is just super underwhelming in this deck. I'd rather just have another trap. I feel like the plus one's better than just digging six into your deck. We don't really need to dig six into our deck. This deck is very consistent to begin with. Realistically, the only thing that we need to dig for is just a normal monster to summon. Otherwise, we don't really need it. Our traps are exactly what we want. The field spell is really, really good. It's summon something from the hand if you ended up drawing this, so make sure you aim for the field spell so you can get this out of your hand. Get that nice little brick level 8 out of your hand. Otherwise, it is a destroy one when you activate a non-labyrinth trap. So if you activate Fair Welcome, that will pop one. If you activate Welcome Labyrinth, that will pop one. It is non-target as well. And this also targets destroy something. Well, targets and destroy something. But yeah, and Fair Welcome does. So you can get a 2 pop off of that. Again, I'll talk about why I'm playing it more, but that's just another little fun benefit there. Called by the Grave, play because fuck hand traps, and then also because there's a lot of graveyard effects that are really, really annoying that we can deal with. Very strong card, regardless. Torrential Tribute. Now, this is a card I don't see a lot of people playing, and I don't know why. This card is a lot better than a lot of people tend to think it is. This is your giant ass blasting trap that just blows the board out. Now, I know you're saying you want a card on the board, but at the same time you have a board wipe. Why is that? Those don't trigger your cards. Well, it's because it's a board wipe either still. It triggers Field Spell. Very nice. It also triggers something else. I forget which. It triggers Chandelier in the graveyard. It triggers Big Welcome Labyrinth in the graveyard. It still triggers some things. Obviously, it's not like perfect, but it is still ridiculously good and totally worth playing. There's so many times that I have seen where my opponent is using something like Compulse, right? Or they're using something like Ice Dragon's Prison. Those cards are good. I'm not going to say they're bad, but in my opinion, they're very mediocre compared to Torrential Tribute. I have my own reservations. I think Compulse is extremely mediocre. I think that card is just, when it's good, it's great, sure. But when it's okay, it's like not only it's like extremely mediocre. Most of the time, I would really prefer to send what they summon or get rid of what they summon first on their normal or something like that. But in the end, you just give it back to their hand so they still keep the card advantage for another turn, which isn't something I want to do. I'd rather just destroy it than have to deal with it. So as a result, I get that Compulse works on extra decks and monsters, and that's what you mostly want to use it for, but sometimes that's all they need to do is summon it. They don't really care if it leaves the board or something. Maybe they want to get whatever they summoned, off and get their effect going or something like that. Something of the sort. So I'd rather just deal with things immediately, obviously depending on the things, but I don't want to give them that card advantage if I don't have to. Ice Dragons, in my opinion, I've only ever seen it do something once. I think that card is so extraordinarily overrated. Sure, it can do non-target banish if it works, but if it doesn't, you have the monster on your board. Okay, sure, but it also you can't attack with it. Also, we don't link summon with it, so we just have a fucking useless card on the board. It doesn't necessarily trigger any of your effects either. It's just because it's not removing anything if you're just summoning and not doing anything with it. So like I said, I just think it's very overrated. I think the only time Ice Dragons was ever good was when Dragoon was running around. So you summon Dark Magician and banish Dragoon, right? That, in my opinion, was like the only time that card was actually good. I think that card is just so incredibly, grossly overrated. I do not agree with that card. You're free to have your, whip your meat on the table, lay it on, like fucking let it slap, dude. Do you. Let you make your decision. But for me, I got like a fucking 13-footer here with a fucking torrential tribute. 13 inches. Feet might be a little bit too much. But torrential tribute, man, you can just this card is ridiculous. It's like the best trap going second as well, in my opinion. It is so good. The next card on the list is I have to go back to torrential tribute real quick. I cannot okay, but seriously, I can't stress how good that card is. And just like that card, breakthrough skill is also super good. very underrated as well. I think this is one of these cards, both these cards, and I feel like in the minds of players have been power crept, even though they're still really good. In some ways, better than Compulse, some ways better than Ice Dragon's Prison. This is a negate. I understand that it doesn't remove cards. I get it, right? At least this removes cards, but this doesn't, right? Why is that? Why are you playing a card that doesn't remove cards? I mean, it's the same reason why you're playing Infinite Impermanence. It's the flexibility. It's the negate. I get that this doesn't use can be used from the hand the way Imperm can, but it's still a negate. It's two negates, and on your turn. So sometimes that does come up, and it saved me a couple games. It's actually really good. So in my opinion, just having a little bit more negates, because none of your core negates. They all destroy or they give you plus or something, right? They don't give you negates. So I want a little something that'll still give me negates, and they do trigger your other cards. They trigger your field spell, for instance. And that's pretty good. It also can be set again with Fair Welcome Labyrinth. Like, that is pretty good, in my opinion. It can be reset with Lovely Labyrinth. Although it tends to want to banish itself, it still can be reset. It has utility in the deck, even if it's not doing everything perfectly. It's just a bit of flex. I think it's very underrated. The fact that the ulti first ed ulti is like $35 near mint and IRL TCG is like blows my mind. This card is so good. It's so underrated. People just feel like it's been power crept, but it really hasn't. Next is Dinomischus. Doesn't discard for cost. It target banishes flexibility, triggers all your cards. Fantastic. I love it. Amazing. Never done before better. You know what I mean? Yeah, comic that's good, but this one's fucking better. Infinite Impermanence is still really good. Dogmatic, a punishment, double pop, double pop. Save for the ones in the back, double pop. Really good. Don't care about the extra deck. You know, fuck it. I'd play 3 if I could. Maybe get rid of the Skull Wagon, one of the Skull Wagons, but I am at 24 out of 30. So I do not have that, and I don't want to break down any of my cards. Moving on. I mean, the Skull Pegasus, Wind Pegasus, the reason it's there. I might as well just talk about the extra deck since we're talking about punishment. And sends, when sent to the graveyard, pops anything on the board. Target pops. Skull Knight, Ignition. Banish it, target pop a monster. Skull Wagon, Ignition. Banish it, target pop a spell trap. With Leo Dancer because it's a high attack for Dogmatic and Punishment to target destroy. Sometimes you need that. Wind Pegasus, it's here because if something you have is destroyed or sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can banish this card, target one card that they have, and then shuffle into the deck. It's a little form of removal, a little bit of a punch back in case you get fucked. And then Dark is here because not for the banish, or the send is just there because it's a really strong card, and in case we need it. You know, we have a bunch of dark monsters, could come up. You never know. Very strong card, deals with annoying little bugger cards like Phoenix, whatever. Phoenix Enforcer. Punishment, really good, yeah. Welcome Labyrinth, very strong card. Very important. It resets itself. Summons from deck. Fantastic, love it. Never seen it before, right? Awesome. Fair Welcome Labyrinth. Now, this is a particular card that I'm a big fan of. I think it has its most use right now before Lady Labyrinth and before Big Welcome, but for now I think this card is actually really good. So in my opinion, it's only okay still, but it's still really good. So it's, again, it has the Labyrinth name, so it has a bit of flex. You can search it with Chandelier, we can search it with Ariana, right? But also it's here because so it has to trigger off an attack. So any monster attacks, even your own, negate the attack, does not target negate the attack. It just negates the attack, and then you target destroy anything on board. And then set any card, any normal trap from your deck to the board. So you can set Breakthrough Skill, you can set Torrential Tribute, right? Even these cards that don't necessarily seem like they have a ton of value at first, still have value. And then, also, if you have the field spell, target pop something else. Or non-target pop something else. So lots of utility here in this little card, even though it is only on attack, still really good, in my opinion. Archfiend's Ghastly Glitch, target pops anything on the board, and it can send to the grave. You don't have to, but still can, but realistically you're going to either backjack or Chandelier to thin the deck. Right? Very strong. Non once per turn, by the way. Interesting. So 3 of is decent. It does require you to have a fiend on the board, but that's why we're trying to get more of these fiends our main deck to make sure that's triggering, and we get the +1, and we get the send, and we get the +1 off that. Bang, right? Terrors of Overroot. Very strong card. It's okay, but it's very strong. It's target non-destruction removal. That does come up. That does happen. So, Now that we've talked about the deck, I've shown you my ideas and my explanations for everything. Let's go ahead and get into a game example. This is a deck game I just played, and it's kind of why I wanted to talk about the deck, because I felt so justified. So I've been playing the deck a lot. Obviously, it's not going to show all of my games because I think there was like an update that like reset everything, but I am winning a bunch. My last game was just the game I lost was so stacky, and I was like on a 10-win streak even then. I am playing against silver gold players, so they're not super good. But the last guy I was playing, this is a good deck. This has everything. This is like a meta deck right now. So it's not like I was playing a pushover that was playing like like Ghost Tricks or some shit. Like this is a meta deck with all of the little fun, tech options and Protoss and Corridor or whatever, right? Been a little bit of a drone Lockbird, but some of these ratios I don't necessarily agree with, like the one at Hara, but I do think this is a very good deck. So let's look at the game. Let's see what I did, right? I did not win the dice roll. Whoops. I actually lost the dice roll. So how did I win this? I won this turn 2 or turn 3. Turn 3 because I'm going turn 2. He went turn 1. I set and his turn 3. I won this on turn 3. So I didn't even attack for game. He quits. What made him want to quit? So immediately I'm going second. I do the best going second trap in my deck. Torrential Tribute. This card is ridiculous. So immediately I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to set this card up so I can blow him out and then just win the game? Thankfully, we opened our 3 of, but only one 3 of hand trap, and it's the best one against Sword Soul. I mean, this is the only one that does anything. Ash doesn't really do anything against Moye, so obviously this works out for us, but he still has pretty much everything he could possibly want. By no means did he brick. So he had the Yadhara, and then he does something that's super interesting that I have legitimately never seen somebody do before, and I played against a lot of this deck. Instead of adding, he banished the trap so that he could make the level 10. I personally think he should have added the shit out of this card. I think this card is like the best Sword Soul card in the deck. The negate, a banish, whatever, it does not come up even close to how strong this card is. But I'll let him do him. So he gets the draw one, he sends a trap, makes the level 10, has a level 8, and then he passes. So we know we're not dealing with the trap, so that's quite good for us. Secondly, we know that he has a one target negate that will banish something, which will then trigger this and to banish non-target banish something on the board in the graveyard. And since it is a requirement for something to be in the graveyard, I have my trap that I did use, so he has that set up. So it's probably why he went for that instead of Baron. I think that's totally fine. I would have just baited out Baron regardless, and it really wouldn't have mattered. But yeah, so this is what he did. It does allow me to use the field spell with no cause for concern, because so another little fun thing about this card is that while he could just do it now to try to trigger the level 10 here, to banish something to trigger the level 10 to non-target remove one of my traps that I set, he can't actually do it because the negate has to be on any other card besides itself. So he can only target negate this, which is why I'm not summoning Ariana, because I know that. And I know he's going to want to banish something, one of my traps. So instead, I'm not going to summon this, so he doesn't have a target to negate, therefore a target to banish. We're going to pass on that. So obviously, Torrential Tribute does not combo well with me having monsters on the board, but that doesn't really matter here, especially with the field spell. Field spell is super good. So immediately on the draw phase, we're going to go ahead and trigger our Tears of the Underroot, sending that little pesky annoying protection, because it does have destruction protection, which we have a lot of, but we have the non-destruction removal. So that happens to work out, but even if this was, so you might be saying to yourself, okay, that 2 of just happened to work out. It doesn't really even matter though, because this could have been like 5 other cards and it would have worked just fine. It could have been even more than that, right? It could have been Dinomiscus would have worked. Totally fine with discarding this because this summons from the grave as well. Doesn't matter. It could have been more infinite impermanences. That would have worked. Target, negate, and then I'll use Torrential. It could have been Breakthrough Skill. Could have used Breakthrough Skill. That's totally fine. That could have, negate, then Torrential. Doesn't matter. The point is that I have all of these options for the flex, and that's what I want to, really get a part of. So here we have his normal summon, fantastic. Goes for another Moye, so of course he has another starter. I just hit the mic there, my bad. And then he summons the token. So this is when we do it. We don't do it on the Moye summon, and we definitely don't do it on the Ecclesia summon. We do it on the token summon, because if we do it on the Moye, he'll still have the token, which means his Vashuna is going to be live. So he has a vanilla. So we're going to use that, get rid of all the board. So just like that, everything he did has just been completely beaten by 2 traps. 2 traps. That's it. So we know he has the Ashuna still, so we still have to deal with that. But at this point, we are a-okay to summon Ariana. And like I said, even if I had to discard her, it wouldn't really matter because the field spell would have summoned it anyways. So it works with Torrential Tribute. But it doesn't really matter. He has the Ash anyways. So, but fantastically, we use that. So guess what's alive? Guess what he screwed up on? We have the Welcome Labyrinth, which at this point basically means death. So he's going to use this. Summon, we wait for the extra because they only play 2. So we can get rid of one of them just for free right here. And then guess what? A card's being destroyed. This is going to trigger. Bye-bye, last card in hand. There it is. He has nothing. 0 cards. No playable options. It wouldn't have mattered even if he top decked because I had everything. And it might not seem like a lot, but this is gonna, my boss monster would reset a trap, which therefore, no matter what he draw, I would have triggered to get rid of, and therefore, it really would have screwed him. And if not, I mean, I would have gained just a ridiculous amount of advantage. So, that is the deck when it comes to Master Duel. I feel very confident about this variant of the deck. Very, very confident. It can be, I guess, one more ints, like I said, could be put in here instead of a Skull Wagon, just in case I don't banish it. I've actually never banished it yet off of my my draw, but instead, let me go ahead and mosey on over to the TCG and see what my current build for the TCG is. Now, this build is okay. It's okay. Probably could have still be fixed a little bit, maybe some tiny little changes here and there, but generally I do feel pretty good about this. And this is the card I was talking, well, this is one of the ones, I don't know if I actually mentioned it or not, but this is one of the ones that I think could be very good when it gets to Master Duel, but this card is very, very strong. Target 2, banish, not target 2, up to 2, doesn't have to be 2, it can be up to 2, already very strong. Banish them until the end phase. They gain 1,000 life points for each one, but who cares? And who cares if they come back? Because it comes back during the end phase, but you get rid of their combo pieces, it's already triggering your cards. The secondly, you get rid of their combo pieces, they can't play anyways, and it's banished, so it's not even in the grave. Wowee, that's strong. Wowee, that's good, right? So Lady Labyrinth we're playing a 3 of, naturally, very strong card. I mean, it's like the card in the deck now. This card is ridiculously good. Ridiculously good. So one of the problems I have with Konami as of late is that they tend to release these deck building pack decks like these archetypes, and then they make them pretty okay, right? Not too good, but okay. And then the support that comes later is just fucking amazing. Like, breaks the deck, like amazingly good. And another great, I mean, this isn't to the same degree as Dragon Maids, but Dragon Maids is like the example of this. Wow, Dragon Maids on release, version 1.0 was just so mediocre, so mediocre. And then they got Chamber, and then they got that trap, and then they got what was it, cleanup or whatever it was called, and then they got the Dragon Fusion show or whatever. That deck is completely different. Completely different. It plays nothing like it did in version 1.0 on release. It plays nothing like it did before. And this is somewhat similar. We cut out more of the 1.0 cards. Again, I just referencing the first release cards as 1.0. Get rid of all of them and we add in Lady of the Labyrinth or Lady Labyrinth of the Silver Castle because it's just better. It's just better. It's easy to summon. It has protection. It has great stats. It resets traps from the deck. It just does fucking everything. This card is ridiculously good. Now, Lovely Labyrinth is a card that could easily be cut. It's probably the most debatable card on this list, if anything, but I still think it's a little ridiculous. Obviously a brick, but it's still really good in my opinion. Ariana is definitely a must stay. It's an inherent +1. You get the +1 when you use one of your traps to draw. Very, very strong card. But get rid of Ariane entirely. Lady Labyrinth just completely power creeps her. Just no reason to play this one anymore. We already weren't using her ignition effect, so Lady Labyrinth just makes her a lot worse, and especially with Big Welcome coming into the deck as well. Again, just completely get power creeps her. Just don't need her anymore. Playing one Chandelier, debatable as well whether you even want to play one. I know a lot of people are playing the clock, but I feel like the clock is just such a one more option. It's like most of the time it's completely unnecessary when it's not win more, but sure it can be one more. But in my opinion, it's just not necessary. Still one backjack. I know we're only playing 2 ghastly glitches now, but I mean this probably should be a 3 of. Like I said, you probably get rid of this or this for it. Or we get rid of Chandelier or get rid of the Lovely Labyrinth, but I'm playing the two. I'm just playing some of the options that I like. Again, this is still, some of these like ratios are a bit debatable. I am telling you exactly what I think could be removed or not. And this could change the more you play, but generally it's the trap lineup is still the same tech options that I'm a big fan of. Just, cut it down a little bit more, cut away some of the fat, get some of that more lean, mean and green cards. Right, so Imperm, Dogmatic of Punishment, Torrential Tribute, still keeping that at 3 of. Man, I will always keep that at 3 of. I will forever debate everybody on that. This card is just so fucking good. Anyways, Dynamiscus Kiss. Ledger Book, talked about that already. Very, very good. Tears the Overroot. This is debatable as well, I think. I'm a big fan of it still. Again, nice little target, non-destruction, non-banish removal. I'm a big fan. I'll keep it around for a little bit longer. And then Big Welcome. This card is ridiculous. Ridiculous. I mean, it summons from the deck, and deck, hand, or graveyard, by the way. Welcome Labyrinth does not do that. Hand or graveyard, there are times when you're going to draw Lovely Labyrinth and Master Duel, and you cannot summon her unless you have that field spell, basically. Because this only works on deck. Big Welcome Labyrinth only works on deck. Big Welcome any place you want to. Doesn't matter, bro. And then immediately return one other monster, or one monster you control to your hand. So if you have no other cards, well, back to the hand she goes, right? Back to the hand Lovely Labyrinth goes. But that doesn't matter for Lady Labyrinth. So many L's. Because she'll just summon herself anyways. So it doesn't really matter. And then, except for the turn this card is sent to the graveyard, and you can banish it to target one fiend you control. Target one fiend you control, return it to the hand. But if you have a level 8 or higher fiend, which we almost always will with Lady Labyrinth, you can return one card your opponent controls to the hand. So basically, it compulse anyways, and it's a trap compulse in your graveyard. So it's gonna trigger all your fun little cards. Super good. I mean, it basically, if there's not even more of a reason to not play Compulse with Big Welcome, there it is. Don't play that card. It's already fucking mid to begin with, and I say that with full confidence. I will fight on that hill to the day I die. That card is just already mid, and you're getting it for fucking free anyways. Like, even if this card didn't even have that last text, you still play it as a 3 of, but it does. So there you fucking go, dude. There you go. You got your fucking Compulse, bro. There you go. But otherwise, what I'm playing here is Omega. Omega can shuffle back things into the graveyard. It could matter. Honestly, you could probably get rid of this now that Big Welcome's here, because if she goes in the graveyard, who cares? Because you can summon her anyways. Yeah, I think that's it. Talked about all these. I think this card's really good, but it depends on the format, if it's playable or not. This card is a particular gripe that I have, because I remember one of the biggest reasons I didn't want to make this video for as long as I did is because too many people play this fucking deck. And too many people have opinions, I'll say. And this is one of them. I remember when this card first got revealed, it was a couple months ago. One of the comments I saw more than anything across all social media was, wow, I could play this card in Labyrinth. I'm just thinking to myself, no you fucking can. This card is shit in Labyrinth. Why would this is just like a worse torrential tribute in Labyrinth. Why? And dear God, would you play this card in Labyrinth? It's just so stupid, bro. Oh my God. Okay, so you can set all your fucking monsters face down. Great. Or instead of destroying all your opponent's cards, you can send them face down. Oh, but what if they have a link monster? Oh, well, it gets around Ad Ignister, Arrival Ad Ignister. I fucking guess. I fucking guess. So stupid, dude. I don't agree with that one at all. This is just like buying away a worse fucking torrential tribute. And it's like not even close. It's not even close. I'd rather destroy my own cards than put them fucking face down. Are you goddamn high? God, that opinion just like annoyed the fuck out of me. All these people just saying, oh, it's a trap and it sends to the graveyard. It must be good. No. No. Don't do that. Anyways, I have digressed long enough. This is the deck. Let me know your opinions. Do you have any things you want to say about it? Do you have any of your own big dick takes, right? Do you want to slap me around with your fucking schlong? Well, let me know. I'm happy to discuss about it. I mean, I will not shy away from conversation when it comes to torrential tribute. You can bet your bippy on that one. But yeah, see ya.